So welcome, everyone. This is a very special program for both Betty and my spirit. We have been working on these programs for quite some time and having many conversations about them and trying to bring you the very best and highest accumulation of experiences, history, education, writings, manuscripts, a conglomeration of these in which we hope you will find meaning, find the benefit of all of this to your life, to your furtherance of your evolutionary process here on the earth plane. And so I would like to introduce once again my dear friend Betty Hunlock, who without her beautiful light to help ground me and hold the highest love, I would not be able to focus on the information wanting to make its way to any of you. I often need someone to work on the technological part of these conferences, and since we're both struggling novices at such things, we are learning together, but it does help to have each other to support in these ways so that we can bring these discussions to you in a timely and hopefully clear way. So one thing I want to say about Betty is that Betty's great heart and her perception and wisdom throughout all of this process have been invaluable to me. It has been a support, it's a grace, I'm so grateful for her acceptance of working on this project with me. Her help reaches out far beyond what her technological help to me means. And it always meets me right where I am and lends the assistance that is so much needed at the time. So I just want to tell you, Betty, how grateful I am, not only to be in partnership with you and through this project, but to know you and come to know you better as we work on it together. So,
thank you, Robin. It's so beautiful to spend time with you and with everyone, because this information is just wonderful. My whole goal is to potentialize my existence, and I think that so many of us are looking for that, for reaching for that, and the information just really encompasses so much for us to be able to better understand who we are in relationship to our soul's journey. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm sure that everyone who comes to listen to this will benefit from your beautiful light. And so let's get into this. I know that we've been building it up for some time. Before we actually start, I just want to make a notation that it's important to point out at the beginning of this that there will be references made to a description of these planes as being concrete, neutral, or abstract. Now, these are words that may not be super familiar to you as we describe different, like the astral plane, the causal plane, akashic plane, but these are important specifics to note. I want you to kind of keep it in the back of your mind as we talk about it, and you'll become more familiar with it as we go forward. We'll be using these terms a lot, and they're, how do I want to say this? They're very significant and vital descriptions of these planes, and you'll grow to understand why that is. So the concrete refers to being more solid, fixed, or physical. It refers to densities. The neutral is, well, of course, neutral, being neither concrete or abstract. So next, we talk about the abstract planes. And these are more fluid, non-stationary, non-fixed in any way. They can be theoretical and over as we go through this conversation to be able to get a better visual and understanding of how these planes work together, hold themselves separate, how they demonstrate in creation, how we can interweave through them, I just get so excited when I start to talk about all this stuff because there's so much potential in there as we grow to understand what these planes actually are. So first, Betty, I want to talk about the physical plane, which is the densest of the 7 planes of existence. Of course, this is where we presently reside, is on the physical plane. This plane offers a variety of experiences. It also has challenges and opportunities for growth. The soul comes here to explore emotions, basically, relationships also, and life situations. You'll notice that as it concerns this particular subject, we will often refer to a teaching called the Michael teachings. As I describe this, the Michael teachings, we'll get into it a little bit later, and I'll describe it more in depth to you. But for now, we want to talk about this physical plane. Individuality and diversity are prominent on the physical plane, with each person having a unique personality, background, and life path. The differences provide opportunities for us to have self-discovery, self-expression, and the development of empathy and understanding. The physical plane is characterized by the interplay of polarities or dualities. This includes concepts such as light and dark, up and down, boy and girl, etc. And most of you already know this. It is just a big world, a big pot of opposites and contrariness. So these souls on the physical plane navigate these dualities to learn and expand their consciousness. The setup here allows for the greatest potential of experiences. We have choices and we have the opportunity to understand consequences as well, and the development of personal preferences and values. The physical plane is very optimal for the greatest learning. It offers situations and experiences that lend to amazing spiritual growth, self-discovery, and evolution of consciousness. Some of the lessons and challenges on the physical plane are often related to themes such as self-identity, relationships, personal power, and the integration of spiritual principles into physical existence. While the physical plane is the densest and most limited in terms of consciousness, it is not disconnected from the higher planes. And if you refer to the diagram that is up before you, you can take a look at this as we go into it a little bit deeper and explain that. Souls here have the potential to access higher levels of consciousness and to align themselves with the wisdom and guidance that is available from the astral causal and some of the other planes. So here, Betty, we refer to what I think is really kind of exciting and we don't think about a lot, is that people don't just resonate with the plane that they're on, but every single time our vibration shifts or our frequency moves from one level to another, or we take on a higher state of experience, even momentarily, we have opportunities to integrate or to move into these other planes, whether higher or lower, and access them. So it's in the shifting of our own vibration, our own consciousness, or our own projections of thoughts or intentions, and sometimes mindlessly, because that's how most of us do it most of the time, is we're totally unaware that we're slipping and moving and shifting and changing in our vibration and our energetic frequencies. And when this happens, it opens up or pairs us. I find that's interesting. We were having a little bit of trouble pairing some of our technology before this conference started, and here we have a great example of that. It seemed very symbolic in this moment to bring that up, right? Because it has a lot to do with being able to pair with other levels of consciousness or other states of expression or vibration or frequency. So anyway, again, this is just at the very baby beginning of this conversation and all of the potential and opportunities that lie within this discussion. So is there anything you want to make note of in that?
I just wanted to mention, I just wanted to mention, Robin, that something that is so prevalent in all of our discussions is that the soul's existence is to learn and grow and expand. And it seems to me that this physical plane of existence is a beautiful, beautiful playground for us to have all the different learning opportunities, sometimes not so joyful, sometimes very joyful, but it all goes to complete our continuing growth and learning. And I see it as a tapestry, the threads that we connect to the other planes of existence, to our fellow beings on this earth plane. It's just a continuation for each one of us to learn and grow. And it's looking at it that way, it's like it's a playground. It's not so much of a school, but some of us who really enjoy learning, the school is the joy as well.
That's really good. It's very well said. I agree with you. So let's talk next. We're moving on to what we call the astral plane. Many of you are very familiar with this plane. You've heard this word or this term used often, especially in spiritual circles. So this is the second plane of existence. It's said to be concrete again. So we have both of these planes being concrete, expressing more fixed, stable, sort of more limited experiences. This concrete is more of an emotional energy on the astral plane. It is the plane where our consciousness is focused when we are between lifetimes. The astral plane is very much a concept that's been explored in various mystical, occult, and esoteric traditions for a very long time. It's often described as a non-physical dimension or a realm that exists parallel to this plane. Here's an overview of what is known or believed about it. The astral plane is mostly considered a realm of energy, consciousness, and emotions. It is believed to be more fluid and malleable compared to the physical, and it has a more immediate and tangible effect on the environment because it is receptive to our thoughts and emotions playing very quickly within the creation or the manifestation of that specific plane. It's often described as a realm of heightened sensory perception, where experiences can be vivid, intense, and immersive. Things like sight, sound, touch, and other senses may operate very differently there or be very enhanced. The laws that normally govern our physical world, many say, may not apply to the astral. And it allows for a greater range of possibilities and experiences there. It's believed that the astral plane can be accessed through altered states of consciousness, such as during astral projection, lucid dreaming, or deep meditation. It's through these that many believe that the astral plane is populated, perhaps, by various entities and beings. These may include spirit guides, astral travelers, and other consciousness forms that exist primarily on the astral plane, sometimes exclusively there. There are traditions that have suggested that the astral plane may be inhabited by thought forms or constructs created by human consciousness. These thought forms can take on temporary or permanent or semi-permanent existence and interact with astral travelers or each other. Exploring the astral plane is often seen as a means of spiritual growth or personal development. It can also indicate a very expanded consciousness. So what opportunities might be provided by exploring the astral plane? Perhaps many opportunities for self-discovery beyond the limitations of the physical world. Astral projection, which is such a fascinating subject in itself, is the intentional projection of disconnection of consciousness from the physical body to explore the astral plane. It is considered a practice that allows individuals to gain firsthand experiences of the astral realm and its possibilities. So in astral projection, you normally have an experience where you project your consciousness. You go in with intention and you intentionally separate your consciousness from your physical self in order to explore. And it's sent out. This is something that people become very masterful at with great years of incessant practice and intense focus, because it takes a lot of discipline to actually master this particular thing. And sometimes it can happen spontaneously. Again, if you're intending to have an experience, then it more times than not indicates a lot of practice and a lot of training and focus. But what I would like to interject in this is that, again, as we put into the introduction, these things can be learned. They can also be innate. The gifts and experiences that we will be describing in all of these classes are things that we want to bring to your conscious understanding, your conscious mind, your conscious awareness. However, it has been my experience, as well as many, many, many others out there, that they can also come upon you at times you are not trying, and at moments in your life when you are completely and wholly unaware of what any of these things are. So what I do know is that they are an innate part of our spiritual gifts. What we are hoping to accomplish here is to bring them to your conscious understanding and mind, so that you can now be decisive and choose to use them or not use them, and when to use them or not use them, if you're interested in them at all. So I find it really interesting that we live in such a dichotomy and such a dualistic experience that it projects in every single level of our experience from moment to moment, and all of the journeying that we do, that we are innately this, but we have to learn about it. We have to remind ourselves that we are these things, that we do possess these gifts, that they are an innate part of us, and how we might be able to use them under our own intelligence and direction and sovereignty. So what are your thoughts on that? How are you feeling about that?
It helps me to understand that every once in a while, when an insight comes to me that I wasn't even looking for, that may be the plane of existence it's coming from. Yeah. And it's not something that I'm attempting to find an answer to or even be experiencing, but all of a sudden an insight will come, and it's like my brain didn't send that out, it's coming to me. And so it helps understand where, once again, our existence is so multi-layered and multidimensional that to just identify, it's like, oh, that must be coming from the astral plane. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And it is crazy how it can just happen at the oddest of times, right out of the blue when you're least expecting it. And I think that that's the beauty of being human, is that we do have such a complex nature, to have these things brought to our conscious mind, our awareness, and be able to comprehend them, to file them away, to work on them, to master them, to use them at will, I guess is where I'm going with that. And yet to also know that within our state of simply letting go and just being, we can also experience these things because they're an innate part of us and always have been. They've always been with us. And I find that the two coming together at this particular time is a really powerful moment for all of humanity, because it really truly is giving us more at our fingertips as far as being able to reach into these other realms at will, and to merge with them, to work them in different ways, to assemble different combinations of them by learning how to use our own vibrations and frequencies to do so, training our consciousness, training our intentions. It doesn't mean that we can't just sit and allow the things that most need to come to us when they should, but we actually have also the power and the opportunity to explore those things more fully and create differently with the combinations of that intellectual insight. So cool.
Well, I
Anyway.
appreciate your generosity of spirit of actually teaching this, because the more skill set we have, as you just explained, the more we're able to tap into it and, once again, potentialize our existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So hopefully that will be what it is. Next, let's get to the third plane of existence, because this is kind of a really interesting one too. And there are 7, so we're taking this at our pace. If we don't get through them all today, which I'm hoping that we do, Betty and I will, of course, continue, because this conversation is pretty full, and there's a lot that can be said about all of it, and a lot of insights and new information that's been coming to us over these months that we've been working with this particular subject. So we hope to be able to bring it all to you. It may not come all today, and it probably won't, but we will revisit the subject if it doesn't. So bear with us, but we do hope to cover the 7 today. So now we come to the third one, which is the causal plane. This particular field is, again, a concrete intellectual energy. So we had the physical, we had the emotional, and now we have the intellectual energy. And most of you know that that's kind of how we go as far as the auric field is too, our body systems that are built around us. So try and keep that in mind as well as we're talking about all these things. You can connect and, like Betty was saying, weave those particular bodies and this particular connection with the planes of existence into kind of the same thing. They're sort of connected, definitely. So according to the Michael teachings, I'm going to refer to that again, and I just want to take a moment to describe what that is exactly. Simply put, the Michael teachings is a metaphysical system where the teachings are attributed to a collective consciousness. entity known as Michael. These were delivered several years ago, I think back in the 70s, to a young woman through channeling means. And there's a lot that was going on at that time. In fact, Jane Roberts, who brought through the messages of an entity called Seth, was very renowned and very popular at the time. And he brought through a lot of interpersonal and egoic and other realms. Nature of Personal Reality was one of his most profound or more well-known books. And so in honor and to stay within my integrity with all of this, I want to just to let you all know that I'm going to quote here the teachings of Michael, okay, on the subject of causal plane. So the causal plane is described as a realm of pure intellect, abstract thought, and the formation of belief systems. It represents a higher mental realm beyond the astral and mental planes. Okay, so it's beyond that. It's higher than that. It is seen as a realm where the underlying causes and motivations behind events are explored. It is associated with the examination of choices, intentions, and the impacts of beliefs on individual and collective experiences. The causal plane is seen as a realm of heightened clarity, understanding, and self-awareness. It's a place where we encounter the development of belief systems that shape their perceptions and experiences across lifetimes. This is such a profound work, and so many have been working with this in the last several years deeply around belief systems and really, really scrutinizing those, and a lot of healing work around those as well. Beliefs formed on the causal plane are seen as fundamental to the choices, values, and lessons that souls explore in subsequent lifetimes. Souls on the causal plane engage in intellectual exploration, seeking to understand the interplay between beliefs, choices, and the consequences of their actions. They may examine the causes and effects of events, seeking deeper insights into the nature of reality. We just brought that up with Seth. And expansion of consciousness. To access or align with this plane, okay, again, we're talking about accessing or aligning with this plane, is viewed as a stage of spiritual expansion. So, again, being a plane that is delving deeper into the nature of each and every one of us, why we do the things we do, why we believe the things we believe. It gives us a deeper perspective on being human. It involves transcending the identification with your physical and emotional aspects in order to connect with the deeper levels of the mind. It's important here for us to note that the information given here of the causal plane is specific to that brought through by the Great Michael Collective. So there are many other views on this as well. And I've read a lot of them and scoured over what many writers and many philosophers have talked about as far as the causal plane goes. And they really do kind of come down into this sort of honed, more precise expression of it. So the Michael Collective is pretty right on as far as what I'm gleaning from a lot of the other interpretations or insinuations, I guess I would say, of the causal plane from others. So this is what I'm presenting to you. Again, not absolute truth, because the truth is within each and every one of you. So if this resonates, great, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. We just are presenting the fullness of what we have found on this subject. Um, so, but at this moment, I'm hesitating for a second because I was just asking for some guidance on that. But I want to, however, put my addition to this. This is my own particular thought on this, and say that what I have read does seem to follow closely with that of my own experience, and I just speak from my own experience of those realms in 1994, some experiences I had along with my husband. So, and other metaphysical and spiritual traditions may have different interpretations or perspectives on this causal plane and its nature. And I do encourage you all to pursue those, to research and look for yourself and study more, because these are really fascinating things to learn about. And they are part of us. They are part of our body systems, of our energetic systems that are built into us, that we communicate with, that we are, and are a part of our way of creating and expressing in this universe. Is there something you'd like to say about the causal plane? What are your thoughts on that, Betty?
I just really appreciate your explanation, because in my mind, there's no separation. It's all part of our existence. And so as we understand more of your explanation, once again, we can really enjoy all the aspects of our existence in a different way. So thank you for your continued explanation of this.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because that was really put so beautifully. I love the way that you said that. That it's very true. Yeah, it's always a journey into ourself and that beautiful, beautiful light and expression that we are, that is so limitless. And we just hope to scratch the surface on this. I know that we're trying to take some deep dives here, and we'll probably get even more, I'm going to use the word obnoxious as we go on, because we do like to theorize and look at some of these really intense subjects. But I will promise to keep some of them very light too. We've got some really fun subjects that we're going to cover as well. So the next one, this is really fascinating, Plane. In the middle of all of this, if you go back to the diagram, you'll see is what placed smack in the middle is the neutral plane of existence that interconnects the other six. This one is called the Akashic plane. Now, it sits right in the center of them all. The Akashic records, or the book of life, is what some of them call this Akashic plane. I'm sure that many of you have heard this expression, one or the other of them. So I really had a lot of fun researching this particular plane, because there's an awful lot written on this and so many authorities on it that it was a bit overwhelming. So I just had to kind of bring this down into a more focused way of bringing this to you. So here's what I came up with. So the distilled knowledge of all the universe is recorded in this Akashic records, Akashic plane, the book of life, in this plane of existence. This is what many people have written about or believe is to be true. This is the place where the records generated of everything that happens in the universe as it occurs reside. That's fascinating. Taking again from the Michael teachings, which says that all matter and energy have a sort of built-in digital recording device, storing its energy, or storing its entire history in a photographic code, including each one of you or us. But the records are actually windows into the past. The records show, because they're records, of course, what they're going to refer to as the past, show events exactly as they were experienced. So and part of this will be me speaking as well, the information that's come through myself from those realms. So the information in them begins raw. It is not clarified or understood and assimilated until a consciousness, and again, I think that's pretty clear, until a consciousness takes responsibility for doing so. Once it is fully assimilated, it is stored on the Akashic plane. One of the main reasons that this exists is for the soul to have an accurate recording of the events of their life. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because we have a lot of references to even some of the things that are going on with all of us at this particular time in our experience, our journey, history on this planet. One of the main reasons that it exists is for the soul to have an accurate recording of the events of their life. For it's impossible for that to be so while we are having a human life or being in a human body. One of the reasons for this is the framework of the consciousness of each and every person on a journey. Their consciousness is constructed to take in all experience in and through their own unique perspective. Now, perspectives are created, shaped, or formed by many things. Beliefs held by the individual, concepts taught or introduced to them, and by experiences that they have had, or that they've brought through in their ancestral lineage, which are also interpreted through their present or their preset, perceptions and beliefs. So, in other words, it cannot be any other way except that every single person experiences everything differently from every other person. And much of the time, none of them experiences the absolute truth of the event as it actually happens, but it is the actual truth that they experienced. So it becomes especially necessary for there to be an accurate recording of it in order for the soul, once it does go to review, when it's passed through the astral level, when it's doing its life reviews, when it is seeking to, shake the doors of the Akashic records and say, let me in so I can see, we are able as a consciousness to review those records at that time, as long as, we're willing to receive what we see and what we get, and to really here's how I wrote it. It becomes especially necessary for there to be an accurate recording of it in order for the soul to review from accurate knowledge, so it can make peace with accurate truth. It is vital for our collective growth, that we do so. It also serves, and many of us are striving to do that while we're living here on this earth with each other. It seems to be very profound right now. It also serves to hopefully help us to, in time, be able to truly love unconditionally and embrace the great realization of our oneness. I sense you have something to say.
Seems to be a very important plane of existence from the standpoint that it's data. It's very pure, clear data. And from that data, then we can try to make meaning, or our souls can make meaning as we continue to incarnate and grow and learn. And so I like the idea that it's plasma, it's plastic, it's but the main thing I got from that particular information was it's raw data.
And that's cool. Yeah.
Right, and that's very powerful in my mind.
That's very well said. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it is too. So the Akashic plane is also known as the Akashic Records, as we said, or the Book of Life. It's a concept found in various spiritual and metaphysical traditions. It's believed to be a realm of knowledge and information that holds the collective memories, experiences, and wisdom of all beings and events throughout existence. Just to give you an idea of what is known or believed about the Akashic plane, it's a plane often described as an ethereal realm or field of consciousness that transcends time and space. Oh, it just sounds so really intriguing. It's believed to exist beyond the limitations of the physical and mental planes, representing a higher level of reality. The Akashic plane is considered to be a realm of pure consciousness and interconnectedness, where the past, present, and potential future events are accessible and available for exploration. Many spiritual thought gurus and teachers believe that it may be accessible through expanded states of consciousness, deep meditation again, or specific practices and techniques, that it may require an attunement, here we go again, or connection to the higher frequencies of awareness to access this information contained within. Some people even claim to be able to access the Akashic records through psychic abilities, intuitive insights, and spiritual guidance. That they receive visions, insights, or direct experiences of information stored within the records. That it allows individuals to access information and experiences beyond their current lifetime, gaining a broader perspective on their soul's journey and purpose. And of course, there are many different views, again, and interpretations and suppositions about this most enigmatic of dimensional experiences. Accessing the Akashic records, as I understand it, is believed to provide information about past lives, karmic patterns, soul contracts, and spiritual lessons. It is probably the plane of most that most people are intrigued with, I guess is what I would say, because it's very popular. It's very well known, and people seem to be very, very intrigued with how it works, what's there, what they can find out. It can offer guidance, healing, and clarity to one's life path and your choices. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that.
I appreciate the explanation because over the years I've heard of different interpretations of Akashic records, and I think that everybody has a different view based on maybe their own experiences or their own thoughts about it. But this seems to be very clear, and it seems to be a place where, once again, we can collapse our existence to take the opportunity to intentionally bring those experiences together so that we can become more than who we are. We can bring all the experiences from past and present, and like you said, potential future, to be able to make choices that could be different than what if we didn't understand this.
Yeah. You know, some of the thoughts that occurred to me is with the struggles that we have trying to understand how different our perceptions of the world of life, of our viewpoints are in real life now. I mean, so many of us are struggling with that, with neighbors, with friends, with family members, with, partners in your own life. How we see so differently, and not just in one thing or two things, but our life, our history, our growing up, our parents, our experiences, our lineage, our neighborhoods, our political, religious, and other views. I mean, those are always kind of constant and common, but it seems as though as we evolve consciously, we continue to broaden and expand and awaken and open to such an extent that these areas that we felt were slightly different, or we didn't quite, gel with each other, or didn't quite see things the same way, we're beginning to understand as being that we are actually seeing extremely differently, and differently from every person who may even say or think they hold a similar perspective. One of the things that's kind of come to me as we've been working with these 7 planes is that, and you'll see this in the higher planes, how it starts to describe that the beings who came here with higher information, or to make a difference or change with higher awakened consciousness, spoke from those higher planes of existence. In other words, there's actually a difference of the point of view or the perspective that they actually come from that makes its way into a reality, and that can be one of the factors. As we shift and move our own vibrations, our own inner beingness, as we shift and move in our consciousness, we can be speaking from any one of these different levels of consciousness, or planes of existence, or bodies, if you will, and perspectives at any given time. So depending on where a person is vibrationally, where they are consciously, where they are in their awakened or evolutionary state or not, that can speak a lot. We've perceived it differently before because we just said, oh, the person's more enlightened, or they're more awakened, or whatever. But now I'm becoming aware of how literal that really is, that the more that we actually work with or receive or spend time with one plane or another, or are familiarized with one, or soul intended. Like some of us may have a soul agenda with a particular plane of experience because that's where we need to be experiencing now. So within all of that is this complexity of where our perceptions come from, why they are so extremely different, why none of us are coming from the same place, because that's an impossibility, because we're all designed, we're built, we're constructed, we're put together completely differently. Not necessarily in our physicality, but in all of the introduction of belief systems, of thoughts, of experiences, of journeys, of, again, what we resonate with, what we are in resonance with, as far as the world, because it sounds like all of these planes are very different worlds as well. And the expression of those, that those laws, those thoughts, those ways of seeing are actually brought in here. And we've been being told for such a long time that this evolution is about bringing heaven to earth. It's about calling it all into integration within the us of this now, our beingness, and arriving in us. So the more that we understand, I think, the complex situation that we have with each other, then it's almost like having Earth on steroids. The experiment of Earth was this melting pot, of different people with different cultures and different belief systems and different experiences. But now it's stepping up into this evolutionary state of being, which brings us into these higher planes of ourselves and into union with that and in our full awareness. It always has been, but we haven't been conscious of it. So in that being made aware, it's pulling all of this in so that we can really maybe start to truly evolve and truly love one another and truly accept the conditions and the state and the beauty of that diversity. And yet oneness. Yeah.
My big takeaway here was that this is the plane of existence for individual and collective growth. And each individual can contribute to that, not only their own growth through the experiences that they have in all the planes of existence, with all the planes of existence energies, but contributing to the whole. And as we, each individual, continue to grow, expand, and evolve, the collective does as well.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it too. Yeah, it's I just think it's a wondrous experiment, a wondrous awakening and opening for all of us to kind of wrap our hearts and our minds around, so that we can learn. I don't even learn to embrace one another in a greater way, and everything that is here, everything that we are, instead of, I guess, focusing on the tendencies that we may have to use so much energy to ponder the differences. But understand kind of where those are coming from and meld with them, like you said. I think that there's a lot for us to learn in this particular experience. And again, it was alluding to the fact that so many, momentary things come to you, like insights and visions and, past lives and other experiences and such. I do think that those things can come through from other planes as well. But the seeking of it to go actually into the Akashic records is a really interesting, a different novel experience. I'll get into that later, because I've received a lot of information on the fact that not everybody can get in there. And I think it's because it's due to this thing they're talking about being a plane that's described as a higher plane outside certain levels of consciousness. So anyway, I think it is an enigma. It is something that maybe as we do evolve, we'll be able to access more frequently, more easily too. But there should be a learning process in it, is what I'm getting from it.
It seems that as we learn and grow, we wake up to other opportunities to explore different aspects of these planes of existence, because it's all within us. It's just a matter of waking up to that part that has not been awake, that has been asleep.
Right. The Akashic records plane, if I were to, how you can use the body systems and your chakra systems, all of that, it all interrelates. So you've got the planes of existence as well. But it always seemed to me as though it was probably that the higher mind state, period, where everything that you are is held there. Or you could call it a monadic state, or a full state, or a Buddhic state, although there is a Buddhic plane. So we'll get to that one here in a moment. Anyway, because it holds all of that information. It's like the central computer programming station where everything is. But for the learning part of it, I think that was a really interesting perspective to give us that information on how profound it is for a being to actually intentionally go in there, be able to look at the truth as it's laid and have it revealed so that they can see it. They may still not take it back with them because I think our minds tend to lock on to something that the way that we experience it, it crystallizes. And so they always go back to that crystallization. But to see it and say, oh, that's what really happened, or that's what that was about, or that is the truth of that situation, it triggers a process. It releases energies. It helps us to, I think, like it said, make peace with or heal pathways of misinterpretation, misunderstanding, self-judgments, untruths, other things. So when that's ridded of us, it opens up more space for us to receive new again, and to clean that slate, to really have higher and greater experiences. The entanglements are things that kind of hold us back and keep us in resistance so that we don't actually move into those higher fields of light. So I find it, I know I'm rambling here, but I'm just sort of bringing it through as they're showing me some of the intricacies of that specific or particular plane. I just think it's wonderful. Okay, so thank you for your insights too, Betty. I just love the way that you bring everything into such concise and easy to understand language. I'm so appreciative of that, and you're so good at it. That's why I have you around. Not the only reason, but
well, I'm happy to be here and learn.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the messianic plane. We'll see if we can get through all this. The messianic plane, the sixth plane of existence. So we're on number 6. We're getting there. Do I have that right?
Mental.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did skip ahead. Okay, I got so excited from the Akashic plane. Okay, so we're on the mental plane. See? Again, why I need you. Next, we visit the mental plane. This is the 5th plane of existence. Its medium is abstract. So now we've moved from the concrete planes, which are the very solid, dense planes, and we've come through the Akashic plane, which is that mediator plane, and we're into what is now the abstract planes. And the abstract are fluid. They're more lucid. They're malleable. It's just easier to. They're less defining. And so it's an abstract intellectual energy, this mental plane. Okay, again, we've got the intellectual energy. Now, this is just working on the higher levels if you look at that diagram again. Emphasizing, it's almost like they're mirrors of each other, right? You've got the higher planes and they mirror the lower planes. Exactly. So you've got this beautiful interplay. The infinite soul who incarnated as Lao Tzu taught from this plane. And this is what I was speaking to a little bit earlier. So when he visited the earth plane, the information that he taught from was from this mental plane, this higher abstract intellectual plane. There are those who used to believe that there were only 5 planes of existence. And again, this is super debatable because there's even beings that talk about 3. Only 3 planes. So this is a very controversial sort of area, is how many planes there are, but they're all kind of really interesting. we're not here to tell you what to believe, but to present to you to the best of our ability, a well-rounded overview of all things spiritual or metaphysical. So for the sake of our discussion on the planes of existence today, we're going to include the next two as well as the Messianic and Buddhic planes. The mental plane that we're discussing right now is described as a realm of higher mind, intuition, and spiritual insight. It represents a higher level of consciousness beyond the astral and causal planes. Souls on the mental plane delve into deeper aspects of consciousness, and they seek to transcend limited perspectives. Okay, we were talking about the perspective thing that we kind of get into in the Akashic records. The mental plane is associated with the exploration of concepts such as oneness, interconnectedness, and the underlying patterns that govern the universe. Just a little thing. Souls on the mental plane focus on the development of higher intellectual faculties and intuitive abilities. They seek to refine their capacity for abstract thinking, logic, and intuitive insights, to explore concepts beyond personal beliefs and preferences. They look to align themselves again with universal principles. Accessing the mental plane involves transcending identification again, your identification with the lower planes, and connecting with the higher frequencies of the mind. It allows individuals to gain deeper insights into the nature of reality, the interconnectedness of all beings, the fundamental principles that govern existence itself. Souls may engage in activities such as philosophical inquiry, scientific exploration, and such. So overall, the mental plane might be seen as a realm of higher mind, spiritual insight, and expanded consciousness. Yay. That's a good thing. And this has got to be, when we talk about delving into higher mind work, there are a lot of practices out there that discuss higher mind. It's got to be the plane that we're working with at that time. You think?
It seems like we're in a time right now where there's so many different people who are researching in the scientific field. People continue to want to know the philosophical higher experiences. And from my perspective, it seems like it's all coming together, that it's all interwoven in these times, because one thing leads to another, but there's the spiritual foundation even behind the scientific explorations. And yes, I think more people are really seeing how it's all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no separation, right? That's great. Good point. Super good. Okay, so the next one, we're moving on pretty quick, because that was, I think the mental plane is one that many of us are very familiar with working with. That could be where a great many of us are, actually. The Messianic plane, okay, which is the sixth plane, the one I got ahead of myself on. Its medium is abstract again. So we have abstract emotional energy now. So we had the mental energy, now we have the emotional again. Emphasizing love, of course, on the Messianic plane. The infinite soul who incarnated as Jesus taught from this plane, and many others. The Messianic plane is described as a realm of transcendence and divine consciousness. It represents a higher level of spiritual attainment beyond the astral, causal, and mental planes. Souls on the Messianic plane are believed to have achieved a higher level of enlightenment and unity with the divine. They embody qualities such as unconditional love, compassion, and wisdom. It is seen as a realm of profound spiritual guidance and teaching, where souls serve as messengers or guides for those on lower planes. Souls on the messianic plane have transcended the limitations of the lower planes and attained a state of expanded consciousness and oneness with the divine. They have a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings and the underlying spiritual principles that govern existence. Their consciousness is characterized by unconditional love, compassion, and a desire to assist others on their spiritual journeys. Souls on this plane are believed to take on roles as spiritual guides, teachers, or messengers. They offer guidance, wisdom, and support to those on lower planes who seek spiritual growth and enlightenment. Their teachings may focus on universal truths, spiritual principles, and practices for personal and collective transformation. They inspire and uplift others, facilitating their evolution towards higher levels of consciousness. I just kind of want to, I'm feeling compelled to interject something right now. And again, I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago, and they brought up, and I've run into it in many of my workshops and my teachings around the country in the past. One of the most common comments that I get when I'm talking about, bringing these points, these experiences, these understandings to people, and it isn't even bringing it to them, it's just being, there with them and calling them to something higher, to think about things in a different way. The most common thing I get from people is an emphatic awareness of the difference. Honor that, and I respect it, and I know it because I've been there too, and I think most of us have, where life just overtakes us. So anyway, I just thought I wanted to bring that up because I do think it's something that is...
That feels good.
Yeah, that totally feels good. So that's always a good invitation. The Buddhic plane. Okay, so this is the final one. We actually made it, you guys. and it's a beautiful one. The Buddhic plane, you all heard of Buddha, I'm sure. The highest plane of existence. Its medium is pure or abstract kinetic energy. I thought that was interesting. We experience the Buddhic plane just before fully refocusing our awareness of Source itself. The infinite soul who incarnated as Buddha taught from this plane. This is the plane of the creator of all that is. Now, also, I think it's really interesting to note here that a lot of these visitors that we have recorded down and in through history and given names to, and I'm sure there have been so many more that we have not even heard of, who have visited the earth plane from these different planes of existence. Each time they do, they bring that vibration in. It's like feeding it, mixing with it, coloring it, if you will. And just the presence of their soul incarnating into the physical plane from these other energetic planes brings these vibrational energies more strongly into the physical plane. That's why they do that. It's to help shift it and to help change the vibration, to help recreate or direct energies in certain ways. There's a immutableness with each and every one of these visitations. Here we have a realization that we are part of all that is, part of God. On the seventh plane, we can utilize the energies of all the planes without being bound, by any oaths and commitments to them. This is because the energy of the seventh plane creates the other planes. It is the energy that makes the quarks, that makes the protons, neutrons, and electrons, all that stuff, in turn make up the nucleus of an atom. This plane is a realm of dynamic and transformative energy. It's devoid of physical or material limitations. This implies that the teachings attributed to Buddha were channeled or brought forth from this elevated plane of consciousness. The Buddhic plane suggests a recognition of the highest level of spiritual evolution and consciousness attainable by souls. The Buddhic plane is a realm of immersed spiritual power, where the teachings and guidance offered have a transformative and profound impact on individuals and collective consciousness. There are many teachings on the number of dimensional planes, okay, and we've just listed 7. Not all believe that there are 7. Ram Dass, for example, taught that there were only 3, as I mentioned earlier, and there are many more interpretations of these and the purposes of each of them. In preparing for this conversation, as I've stated earlier, I made it my focus to make sure that I searched all that was available in ancient, modern, and channeled information, and that which has come through my own writings as well. This is what we offer, Betty and I, as well as Source and Spirit itself, you as the most complete presentation of all gathered information on this subject. And Betty, do you have anything last that you'd like to add?
The only thing that was coming to my mind is foundation. That as we understand this, as we're capable of understanding these planes of existence and our own existence within that, and that within us continues to build the foundation from all the experiences that we do have. And as we have those experiences and our foundation is stronger, and we can continue to use that as a leaping off point to continue to learn and grow. And so every experience that we have, every interaction we have within ourselves and with others continues to help us to continue for our soul's experience and evolution.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Well,
thank you, Robin.
We did. I think we did good as far as covering the 7. And the deeper dive, we'll talk about a lot of the ways to use that, musical scales, colors, different ways to use our vibrations, our resonance. So we will be in touch with all of you to let you know the release of each of these subjects as they come upon us, as we're given them, and what we're going to say about them. And we count on each and every one of your beautiful essences, the lights that have gathered with us, to help make known to us at the deepest of levels your interests, your intentions, the ways in which we may meet you exactly where you are to benefit your soul's growth and development in your journey to awakening as well. We understand that you are all at different varied levels of your experience and awareness, just as Betty and I are, and we're continuing to learn and grow together. And just want to thank you all for taking a great amount of your own time to hear these things, which we decided to put out in recordings so that you could simply play them as long as you needed to, come back to them over and over again, or listen to them in bits and pieces at your own convenience. We saw this for now to be a good way for you to gather the introduction to these courses. So thank you so much. Thank you, Betty, too, honey, for helping deliver this today and keeping me straight and grounded. And you can all hear that my voice is beginning to go. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we look forward to our next conversation with you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.